Hello everyone and welcome back to a new episode of Vinyl Community Friday where we discuss all things physical media, and today we're going to be discussing the Steven Wilson Yes Remixes box set, and I will show you my copy. Here it is, very nice, and I'm just going to be going through the box set, is it worth getting, and just my personal opinions on it, why I think it's personally worth getting. So if you are considering getting this box set and you may be a bit on the fence because the price is very extortionate, it is very expensive for what it is, then stick around and I will tell you why I think that it's worth getting if you're a Yes mega fan, because as a Yes mega fan myself, I obviously am going to give it a lot of appraisal, and also the work of Steven Wilson. Before we start, I'm going to give you a little background on who Steven Wilson is. Steven Wilson was in a group called Porcupine Tree, which is like a progressive metal band, but he is also very well known for doing remasters of older progressive rock albums. He's done remasters for, obviously, Yes, he's done remasters for Gentle Giant, he's done the Jethro Tull ones as well. So he's done quite a lot and he's very well known in the progressive rock community. He is not just a great musician but also a fantastic producer. One of my producing idols, I guess you could say, because I want to go into music production, so picking out different producers' techniques is something that I'm always looking out. Obviously with people like Steven Wilson or even people like Alan Parsons, just picking out what makes them an interesting producer. So let's just get into the box set. I've got a lot of notes here on my tablet as to why I think that even though it's very expensive, I mean, I think you could probably find a box secondhand that's a bit cheaper. I think it's worth the price. Let's just quickly talk about the actual box set itself before we get into the music and the vinyl quality. So the actual aesthetics look fantastic. I mean, this is glossy. It's got a beautiful side and back. It just kind of just tells you what's in it on the back, and just tells you who it was originally produced by, and obviously Steven Wilson underneath. And if you're not familiar with this box set, again, alternate covers. We've got alternate covers of 3 of the albums in here. The Yes album and Relayer are still the same. They just look a bit more clean and obviously remastered. I think the actual photos, I mean, this looks a lot more clean than the original. And also, well, it does say that on the side. There we go. The original doesn't, so. Copies of Fragile, Close to the Edge, and also Tales from Topographic Oceans look different, so I'll show you those now. Here is the Fragile one. It's got more of a greeny undertone to it. This is not blue at all, and the font looks different too. The back as well. But it looks very beautiful. The inside, I believe, is still the same. Close to the Edge here is obviously green, usually. I've got Close to the Edge right in front of me. So there we go, you can see the differences. If you couldn't tell already, one of them's green, one of them's blue. Text looks different too, and there's the middle, which I've got up on my wall there. And also Tales from Topographic Oceans, which I also have here next to me. Here is the one that I have that isn't part of the box set, so they look very different, of course. So that's just like a little thing that I really like about this box set. It's not just the same 5 albums with the same covers, you get different artwork. So I'm a big fan of Roger Dean's artwork, so seeing all these different possible ideas and new ideas for these albums really interested me. So they are very beautifully put together, of course. So that is just a little aesthetic that I like about this box set. That's just completely unrelated from the music and the vinyl, but if you're into that kind of stuff, this might be the box for you. I wouldn't buy it just for the covers. Obviously you buy things for the music, but it is a very beautiful box set, just aesthetic wise. But let's get into why I think this box set is an amazing box set. So as you saw, this is it. I've taken out the albums just so I can show them a lot easier. So you get the alternate artworks, all done by Roger Dean, of course, and they're just absolutely stunning artworks, obviously by one of my favourite artists. So let's just break down the actual musical aspects. There are a lot of little subtle things that have been added to these mixes in comparison to the regular remixes of the albums, just the regular remasters of things like Close to the Edge and Fragile. So for example, in the big track Close to the Edge, the middle section, the I Get Up, I Get Down bit, probably my favourite section of that song, the background harmonies are looped in the Steven Wilson remix one, so they're looped underneath John Anderson's main vocal, whereas in the original mix that kind of stops and starts at several points, but it just is a continuous cycle in this particular copy. Also, it's just very subtly done. There are bits that are very much more unmasked, I guess you could say. The clarity of things like the guitar is very, very noticeable. I think once you listen to something like, let's say Roundabout, for example, the beginning with the acoustic guitar, it's so much more crisp and clean, in my opinion, and it sounds so, so new, like it was a new album that was released. It's that clean and clear. Sorry if I'm looking down here, that's where all my notes are. Also, the drums have been remixed so perfectly on this. I don't expect anything less from Steven Wilson, to be honest. And you just kind of think, well, these are great musicians, and you can kind of remember how great they were just on hearing this new clarity that you don't have with the original mixes. That's what I have picked up on, because I've listened to these 5 albums so many times just as standalone albums, not from this remix. I mean, before I got the box set, I had all 5 albums and I'd listened to them a lot. And before I did this video, I obviously re-listened to the original 5 and then listened to the remixed 5, and I really do, you do really notice a difference. I know a lot of people don't like Tales from Topographic Oceans as much as something like Close to the Edge or Relay or Fragile, but I actually grew to love Tales through this box set. Things just didn't sound as dragged on as they did in the original. I mean, I do have a copy of this one here. This is just the standard one that you can get, but this is the one from the remix box set. Artwork looks fantastic, by the way. And it's a fantastic album. I've grown to really love Tales from Topographic Oceans just listening to this box set. I guess it's just due to the production. I mean, production really does make a difference when you're listening to music. If you've got something that's produced really badly, you tend to kind of edge away from it. If it's mixed badly, your ears are just confused. I mean, I've heard albums that have been mixed really poorly and I've just not loved them. I mean, they could be fantastic musicians, but the mixing makes such a difference. And I found that the mixing on this version of Tales from Topographic Oceans was something I really clung on to. And I used to only really listen to one track from this album. I only used to listen to The Revealing Science of God. That was the only track I used to listen to. But now I've grown to love things like Ritual and stuff like that I didn't really cling on to as much as the first track on the album, which is The Revealing Science of God. So this box set has actually helped me enjoy an album more than I have previously. Just the drums, right? I know I pointed this out earlier, but I just want to really make this clear on how good the drum production is on these remixes. I mean, you can just hear everything. Everything sounds so clean. There's no kind of ringing or anything. Not that there is in the original mixes, but they just sound so new. It sounds like a new track. It sounds like a new album. And the snare sounds so great on Fragile. It sounds so great. I mean, I re-listened to it. I really kind of sat and listened to every single instrument that was going on in each track. And oh god, it sounds so clean. It sounds so amazing. So if you're a big fan of great drum production, which I am, and I like a really great sounding drum, this is definitely the box set for you. It sounds so clean and so like you can hear everything, and the frequencies are balanced perfectly with, you know, the hi-hats and the there's the cymbals, and the overheads have been mixed really well. And the bass line, the bass guitar sounds so great, especially on things like Roundabout and things like South Side of the Sky and things like that. They sound so great. And talking of a track that's not as aggressive like that, let's take something like that part in Relay, so Gates of Delirium. I think it's one of the middle sections soon, which they actually turned into a single, I think. That part is very ambient and just very pretty, and I think that remix of it sounds so great with, you know, the slide guitar and the keyboard sounds so great. Another thing I picked up on in Heart of the Sunrise, which is the last track on Fragile, as you guys know, you can really get the full length and the full depth of John Anderson's vocals. I mean, there's very low bits in that track which have really been pushed forward, and you can really hear how great his voice sounds throughout this track due to these mixes. And the lower frequencies have been balanced so perfectly and mixed so well so that it doesn't sound awful, basically. You can really kind of feel it, and then also with the bass line in the background, it's not all mushed together, it's all just perfectly aligned, and that just, for me, is just so great, being a bassist myself. And, you know, there's been parts where I'm singing quite low and it kind of mushes into the bass a bit, but this sounds so great. It's two separate things, been mixed perfectly, and that's why I think that musically this sounds fantastic. So if you're a real music person and you want to hear a different version of Close to the Edge, or a different version of Fragile, or a different version of all the other albums in here, then this is the box set for you. So now we're going to move on to the actual vinyl. Does the vinyl sound good? Let's have a look. So, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I think these have been pressed onto 180 gram vinyl, so they are heavyweight vinyl, obviously in comparison to original pressings or older pressings where the vinyl's a bit more flimsy. This is a lot more heavy and a lot more durable, so if I dropped this, not that I am that clumsy, but if I were to drop this, it wouldn't be as damaged as something that's a bit older. So that's the first plus, I guess, but that's just about general 180 to 200 gram vinyl reissues. But instead these, they are kind of reissued, but they're more remasters, or remixes, aren't they? I found when I first sat down, got out the first album in the box set, which was the Yes album, and I put the needle down, I used the downstairs speakers so I could get that full oomph of music, that full bass, because these speakers don't have a lot of bass on them, unfortunately. It was quiet. You know, you have a lot of pressings where you'll put the needle down and it's quite loud when it goes round that first couple of loops before the music starts. But these are very quiet. You know, they're very silent, and that's what you want, really, isn't it? I think that's due to just the new pressings of vinyl. Although I have got a couple of pressings in my collection that are new that don't sound as good, they're not as quiet, they're quite loud once you put them down, and it's kind of, the surface noise overtakes the music, which is not what it's all about. You're meant to hear the music and no surface noise. Talking of surface noise, there are none. That's what I've noticed with mine. That might be different to the copy that you have if you've got it already. But I've noticed that they are very quiet. There's no surface noise whatsoever. There was no faults in my pressings whatsoever. So this is great for vinyl enthusiasts as well, who like the best possible audio quality. These albums are great for those audiophiles, I think that's what people call them, that the kind of audio nuts. I'm a bit of an audio nut myself, but not as much as some people. And yeah, just the production, fantastically done. Of course, I expect no less from Steven Wilson, very accomplished musician and producer. And I think that's probably about it for my personal opinions on the positive. So I'm just going to give some negatives as to why I think that maybe this isn't the box set for a lot of people, because it is an expensive box set. So I'm probably just going to... This is an expensive box set. So I would say that if you're not into Yes as much as maybe you've heard a couple of their albums, but you're not fully into them, this is not for you. This box set is for someone who's very much into Yes and wants to explore different variations of the same albums that they love. This is not saying that people who are new to Yes shouldn't get it, but I think that this is definitely for the people who are familiar with the albums already, because if you're familiar with something like Close to the Edge, you know that middle section of I Get Up, I Get Down isn't looped, but in this one it is. So it's just little bits like that you can just point out on if you know the album. I mean, I've sat down with my dad, I sat down with Johan, and I've been like, oh, that's new, I didn't hear this in my copy of the Yes album or in my copy of Fragile. So that's what I mean by that. That is no disrespect, but that is what I think. It's not for the casual fan, it's for the big fan. And another little tiny thing that might put people off is that in this particular box set, the lyric sheet that comes with the Close to the Edge copy, the original one, doesn't come in this box set. So if that's something that's going to bother you, then you might not want to invest your money into something that you're not getting everything. I mean, it's got the booklet, the original booklet that came with Fragile, but just not the lyric sheet that came with Close to the Edge. I have got my copy of Close to the Edge to hand right here, so I'll show you what I mean. So this is the, obviously, original, and it comes with this. So this is the lyric sheet that comes in it, whereas in this particular copy, it's just the paper in a sleeve. So if that's something that's going to bother you, then you might not want to invest. But it is just a very, very small thing that didn't bother me, to be honest. I could just work out the lyrics myself. So yeah, that is the end of today's video. My question to you, if you own this box set, do you like it? Is it something that you're happy that you purchased? And would you recommend it to people? If you don't have this box set, have I convinced you enough? Personally, I absolutely adore this box set. I would definitely get it if I didn't have it already, because it's so worth digging into the mastery that is Steven Wilson, and also the mastery of Yes, and you just really remember how great of musicians that these people are. I mean, it's really pushed into your face when you listen to these remixes. You just kind of sit there and think, oh, this person's such a great musician. I mean, when I listened to the Close to the Edge remix for the first time on vinyl, I was downstairs in the front room and I just kind of sat back, and the bigness of that Rick Wakeman keyboard bit, organ bit, sorry, after the I Get Up, I Get Down section where it builds up and there's that big organ section, sounds so big, so grand, and so beautiful. It's so clean and just so beautifully done. So if you're a big fan of that kind of big sound and you want a big sounding album, this is your box set. This is your box set, definitely. But yeah, tomorrow we got another episode of Saturdays with Dad, and obviously a new episode of Prog Mondays coming this Monday. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you guys for 13.5k subscribers. It means a lot to me. There's no chance of me stopping this channel anytime soon. I'm having too much fun just talking about prog to people, and I love also interacting with you guys in the comments. I know I'm really kind of bad at responding to comments, but I do read them. I do read all comments. Even if I don't interact with them, I do read all of them. So don't worry, I have read all your comments. I'm just really bad at replying to them. It's like how bad I am at replying to texts and emails and stuff like that. I'm just very bad at replying. But yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.